Well, we're using a little bit different setup tonight for the Inner Smile. I'm sitting in a nice, comfortable recliner chair, although I'm not going to recline it. And got legs crossed. So it's a very comfortable position. And as we begin the Inner Smile, remember that we have the intention of reconnecting the mind and the body. And in our first lesson, we used the analogy of a factory with the mind as the director and the body as the floor of the factory where the workers work, and the body parts, the organs and major glands as the workers. And we noted how in modern life it's very easy for the mind to become disconnected with the body. The mind all the time dealing with external stimuli and neglecting to pay attention to the feelings inside the body. So sometimes this means that minor problems that a mind that was sensitive and in communication with the body would detect early are not detected and then become major problems. And finally, the mind becomes aware of a problem with the body because it's confronted with an acute situation, serious pain or other malfunction. And it's as though the workers or a department in the factory, say your liver department or your heart department, decided to walk out, or maybe just to slow down the work or strike or even walk out. And then the mind is confronted with an urgent situation. So the Inner Smile is designed to restore the mind-body connection so that the mind can become more sensitive to the condition of the body parts. We'll also have the intention of taking smiling energy from an external source of smiling energy, which might be God, a saint, some historical or intellectual figure that you admire, might be a relative that you love and admire. It might be a place that you've been to or imagined you've been to. It might be a time in your life when you were happy and smiling. And if you have a physical representation of this source of smiling energy, it's a good idea to post it where you can see it in your meditation space. So you connect with your source of smiling energy, and then bring the energy in through your eyes and down through the body along 3 different paths. So we have the first path, which is the non-digestive organs and some of the major glands, including thyroid gland and pancreas, also adrenal glands. Then we have the digestive organs, and finally we have the brain and spine. So we send the smiling energy to all the body part workers along those three paths. We will use normal abdominal breathing, return to childhood breathing, in the Inner Smile exercise. And eyes can be closed, open, or half open. But remember, if you close your eyes, do not let your head droop down. So maintain the head gently erect, the spine erect. So that your chi can circulate freely. So the body upright but still relaxed. Remember that during return to childhood breathing, we use about 70 to 80% of our lung capacity. So the breathing is deep but still relaxed. And we expand the abdomen as we inhale. Not forcefully, but gently expand the abdomen. And we gently contract the abdomen as we exhale. So let's begin with the first path, the non-digestive organs. And as we do the first path, we're also going to take the opportunity to purge negative emotions from the 5 yin organs. So as we send the smiling energy down, we're going to exhale the negative emotions associated with those organs and inhale positive virtues also associated with those organs. So through your eyes, connect now in your mind or through your visual representation, your source of smiling energy. Bring that energy in through your eyes. Feel the smiling energy warming and relaxing your eyes. And we'll send the smiling energy now cascading down the first path, as though it were water cascading down a waterfall or a tiered fountain, or like wax dripping down a burning candle. So the smiling energy now flowing down into the cheeks and jaw, relaxing the cheeks and jaw. And flowing down into the neck and throat, filling the neck and throat. Now the smiling energy will flow down into the thyroid gland, which is right here behind the upper portion of your sternum. So with each of the body parts where we're sending the smiling energy, we'll first feel the smiling energy fill the body part, filling every nook and cranny, every cell. And then the smiling energy will wrap around the body part, kind of swaddling it in warm, loving, smiling energy. Smile down into your thyroid gland and thank it for the work it does in regulating your body's endocrine system. And imagine your thyroid gland feeling thanked and appreciated and smiling back at you. And now from the thyroid gland, feel the smiling energy flow down into your heart, filling every part of your heart, every chamber, every cell, wrapping around your heart. Filling and warming your heart. And as we exhale, let's exhale negative emotions that can adversely affect the heart. Exhale cruelty and hatred. Cruelty and hatred, strongly felt or held for a long time, can damage the function of the heart, which in turn can damage the whole body. So exhale cruelty and hatred. Make room to inhale the positive virtues of love and creativity. Breathe out cruelty and hatred. Breathe in love and creativity. And now, send down a warm, sincere smile of thank you to your heart for the work it does, pumping your blood. And feel the warm, smiling energy spread throughout your heart and throughout your circulatory system. And imagine your heart feeling appreciated, feeling healthy, and smiling back at you. Now we will send the smiling energy out to each side into the lungs. Feel the smiling energy fill every part of the lungs and wrap around the lungs. As you exhale, exhale the negative emotions of sadness and depression. Exhale sadness and depression through your mouth. Inhale the positive virtues of courage and righteousness. Exhale sadness and depression. Inhale courage and righteousness. And finally, send down a sincere smile of thank you to your lungs for all the work they do, drawing in fresh oxygen to nourish your body, expelling stale gases. And now visualize your lungs feeling appreciated, feeling thanked, and smiling back at you. From the lungs, we're going to send the smiling energy cascading down into the liver. So liver right below your right lung. And feel the smiling energy fill every cell of your liver. Warming and relaxing the tissues. And the smiling energy wrapping around your liver. As you exhale, breathe out through your mouth the negative emotions of anger and frustration. Let go of the anger and frustration. Breathe it out. Making room to breathe in the positive virtues of kindness and generosity. Smile down to your liver. A sincere smile of thank you for the work it does in storing your blood and filtering your blood. And imagine your liver feeling warmed, appreciated, and thanked, smiling back at you. And now we'll send the smiling energy to our left and into the pancreas, this gland situated behind the stomach. And feel the smiling energy fill the pancreas, penetrating into every cell and wrapping around the pancreas. Send down a sincere smile of thanks to your pancreas for the work it does at regulating your blood sugar levels. And imagine your pancreas feeling thanked and appreciated, smiling back at you. And now we'll spread the smiling energy further to our left and into the area of the spleen. Feel the smiling energy filling every cell of the spleen, wrapping around the spleen. As you exhale, exhale the negative emotions of worry, overthinking, pensiveness. Make room to inhale the positive virtues, fairness, openness, and trust. Exhale worry, overthinking, and pensiveness. Inhale fairness, openness, and trust. And now, smile down to your spleen, a warm, sincere smile of thank you for the work it does in distributing nutrients through your body, taking the nutrients from your stomach, sending them throughout your body, and for the work it does in regulating, harmonizing the work of the other organ networks. Now imagine your spleen feeling thanked and appreciated and smiling back at you. So now the smiling energy will flow further to the left and then around your back and to the area of your kidneys and settle on the adrenal glands that are situated on the top of each kidney. Feel the smiling energy penetrate into every cell of your adrenal glands and wrap around your adrenal glands. Send a warm, sincere smile of thank you to the adrenals for the work they do, helping your body cope with emergency situations. producing the adrenaline. And let your adrenal glands know that right now everything is fine. They can relax. And imagine your adrenal glands smiling back at you, feeling good, feeling relaxed, feeling appreciated. From the adrenal glands, smiling energy flows down to the kidneys, penetrating every interior part of the kidneys, filling the kidneys, wrapping around the kidneys. As you exhale, breathe out the negative emotions of fear and anxiety. Make room to breathe in the positive virtues of gentleness and calmness. Breathe out fear and anxiety. Breathe in gentleness and calmness. Send down a sincere smile of thanks to your kidneys for the work they do. Extracting liquid waste from the body. And imagine your kidneys smiling back at you, feeling appreciated, feeling healthy, feeling good. From the kidneys, smiling energy flows down to the urinary bladder, filling the urinary bladder, wrapping around the urinary bladder. Send down a sincere smile of thanks to the urinary bladder for the work it does in storing the liquid waste until you have a convenient time and place to eliminate it. And imagine your urinary bladder feeling appreciated, feeling thanked, smiling back at you. Now the smiling energy flows on down the urethra to the sexual glands and sexual organs, fills those body parts, and wraps around them. And send down a sincere smile of thanks to the glands and sexual organs for the work they do in your sexual activity. And imagine them smiling back at you, feeling thanked, feeling appreciated. That concludes the first path. And if at any time you feel the smiling energy waning, pause in the path and take a moment to reconnect with your source of smiling energy and rejuvenate that feeling. So now we go to the second path, which is the digestive organs. So we bring the smiling energy again in through the eyes. Feel it warming and relaxing your eyes. And then flowing down to fill your mouth, the tongue, the teeth and gums, filling your whole mouth. And we're going to move the tongue about between the teeth and cheeks 9 times in each direction to generate saliva, which we will preserve and swallow in a gulp down the esophagus to the stomach, along with the smiling energy. So circle your tongue between teeth and cheeks 9 times in each direction. Swallow the accumulated saliva along with the smiling energy in a gulp. Feel the smiling energy flow down your esophagus and into your stomach. Feel the smiling energy fill every part of your stomach, wrap around your stomach. Send down a sincere smile of thanks to your stomach for the work it does digesting your food. And imagine your stomach feeling thanked and appreciated and smiling back at you. Now the smiling energy flows on down from the stomach into the small intestine. Feel the smiling energy flow through all the 30-some feet of bends and winds of the small intestine, filling every part of it and wrapping around through all the coils, wrapping around the small intestine. Smile down a sincere smile of thank you to your small intestine for the work it does in extracting nutrients and preparing the digestive waste for movement onto the large intestine. And imagine your small intestine smiling back at you. It's feeling good. It's feeling appreciated. It's feeling thanked. Now the energy of the smile will flow down into the connection with the large intestine, and will send the smiling energy up the ascending colon on the right side of your abdomen. We'll feel the smiling energy fill the ascending colon and flow into the transverse colon and across from right to left, filling the transverse colon. And then flowing down the descending colon on the left side of your abdomen, flowing down, filling the descending colon. Imagine the smiling energy wrapping around your descending colon, your whole colon, your whole large intestine, wrapping around every part of it. And then imagine your large intestine smiling back at you as you send down a sincere smile of thank you for the work it does in preparing the solid waste for excretion. And your large intestine feeling relaxed, feeling thanked, feeling appreciated, is smiling back at you. Now we'll send the smiling energy down into the rectum, filling the rectum, wrapping around the rectum, penetrating every part, and flowing on down to the anus. Filling every part, every cell, wrapping around the anus. Send down a sincere smile of thanks to the rectum and anus for the work they do, retaining the solid waste till you have a convenient time and place to dispose of it. And imagine your rectum and anus smiling back at you, feeling good, feeling relaxed, feeling healthy. And that concludes the second path. And now we will do the third path. And bring the smiling energy in, this time through your third eye, right between your eyebrows. Bring it into the valley between the two hemispheres of your brain. And we'll feel the smiling energy flowing into 3 glands that are situated there. The pituitary, the pineal, and the thalamus. Filling every part of those glands and wrapping around those glands. Send a sincere smile of thanks into those glands for the work they do with your endocrine system. And imagine those glands smiling back at you. Imagine them blossoming, feeling good, feeling appreciated, feeling thanked. And now smiling energy flows on backward into the brainstem, medulla oblongata, filling every cell, wrapping around. Send a sincere smile of thanks for the work they do, connecting your spinal column to your brain. And imagine them smiling back at you, feeling thanked, feeling appreciated. And now we're going to go down the spinal column. We're going to go down vertebrae and disc and vertebrae and disc, smiling energy oozing down. But also, as we go to the vertebrae, feel the smiling energy flowing out to each side through the ligaments, muscles, and tendons, warming and relaxing those parts too. Down the spine in its 3 sections, cervical with 7 vertebrae, thoracic 12 vertebrae, and lumbar with 5 vertebrae, and finally the sacrum and the coccyx. And at the end, we'll send the smiling thanks to the entire spinal column. So now feel the smiling energy flow down into the atlas joint, which joins your cranium to your spinal column, filling the joint, filling every cell in the bone tissue, and wrapping around the atlas joint. Oozing down then to the disc, filling every cell of the disc, and flowing down to cervical 1, filling the bone tissue, wrapping around the bone tissue, flowing out to the muscles, ligaments, and tendons attached to that vertebrae. And then oozing down into the disc below cervical 1, filling every cell in the disc, wrapping around the disc, and flowing on down to cervical 2, filling the bone tissue, wrapping around, and flowing out to each side. Smiling energy oozes down into the disc below cervical 2, filling every cell in the disc and wrapping around the disc, and flowing down into cervical 3, filling the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae, spreading out to each side to the muscles, tendons, and ligaments of your neck. And now oozing down into the disc below cervical 3, filling the disc, wrapping around the disc, and down into the vertebrae, cervical 4, filling the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae, spreading out to each side. Flowing down into the disc below cervical 4, filling every cell of the disc, wrapping around the disc, and oozing on down to cervical 5. The smiling energy fills the bone tissue, wraps around the vertebrae, and flows out to each side, warming and relaxing ligaments, tendons, and muscles. Smiling energy flows on down to the disc below cervical 5, filling the disc and wrapping around the disc. And then flowing down into the vertebrae cervical 6, filling, rebuilding, rejuvenating the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae, spreading out to the sides, warming and relaxing the muscles and tendons. And the smiling energy flows on down into the disc below cervical 6, filling every part of the disc, wrapping around the disc, and down into the vertebrae cervical 7, filling every cell of the bone tissue, rebuilding and rejuvenating it, wrapping around the vertebrae, and then flowing out to each side through the muscles and tendons just above the collarbone, relaxing and releasing tension. Smiling energy now flows down into thoracic 1 and the collarbone. Well, we have a disc, of course. Below cervical 7, we fill that disc, wrap around that disc, and now we go to thoracic 1, filling the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae, and spreading out to each side through the collarbone, and the muscles and tendons attached. Now the smiling energy oozes down into the disc below thoracic 1, filling the disc, wrapping around the disc, and flowing down into the vertebrae thoracic 2, filling every cell in the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae and spreading out to each side. Now the energy flows down into the vertebrae below thoracic 2, filling the cells of the disc, wrapping around the disc, and then flowing down to thoracic 3, filling the bone tissue and wrapping around the vertebrae, flowing out to each side. Flowing on down to the disc below thoracic 3, filling the disc and wrapping around the disc, and on down to thoracic 4, filling the bone tissue, wrapping around thoracic 4, and spreading out to each side. Flowing down to the disc below 4, filling the disc and wrapping around the disc, and then flowing down into thoracic 5, filling the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae, and spreading out to each side. Flowing on down to the disc below thoracic 5, filling the disc and wrapping around the disc, and flowing down into the vertebrae thoracic 6, filling the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae, down to the disc below 6, filling every cell of that disc, wrapping around that disc, flowing down to thoracic 7, filling every cell of the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae, and spreading out to each side through the muscles and tendons. Flowing on down to the disc below 7, filling the disc and wrapping around the disc, and then flowing down into thoracic 8, filling the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae, spreading out to each side, dissolving muscle tightness, relaxing tendons, flowing down to the disc below thoracic 8, filling that disc, wrapping around that disc, and flowing on down into thoracic 9, filling every cell of the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae, spreading out to each side, penetrating knots and muscles and tendons, relaxing tension, allowing chi to flow, and flowing on down to the disc below thoracic 9, penetrating every cell of that disc and wrapping around that disc, spreading out to each side, down into thoracic 10, filling the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae, spreading out to each side, relaxing muscles and tendons and dissolving knots. Down into the disc below 10, filling the disc and wrapping around the disc. Down into 11, filling every cell of the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae, spreading out to each side. Into the disc below 11, filling every cell, helping to rehydrate and rebuild that disc, wrapping around that disc. And then down into the last thoracic vertebrae, number 12, penetrating every cell in the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae and spreading out to muscles and tendons on each side. Down below 10 to the disc, filling the disc and wrapping around the disc. Down into 11, penetrating the bone tissue and wrapping around, spreading out to the sides, down into 12, the disc be up above 12, filling and wrapping around, and then into 12. Filling every part of the bone tissue and spreading out to each side. We go now to the vertebrae below 12. Smiling energy fills the vertebrae, wraps around it, and flows down into lumbar 1. Filling lumbar 1, wrapping around lumbar 1, spreading out to each side. Into the disc below lumbar 1, filling the disc, wrapping around the disc, and flowing down to lumbar 2. Penetrating every cell of the bone tissue and wrapping around the vertebrae, spreading out to each side, and flowing down to the disc below 2, filling the disc and wrapping around it, and down into lumbar 3, penetrating every cell of the bone tissue, wrapping around the vertebrae and spreading out to each side, down to the disc below 3, filling the tissues, wrapping around the disc, and flowing down to lumbar 4. Filling the bone tissue, helping to rebuild the bone tissue, wrapping around lumbar 4 and spreading out to each side, soothing irritated muscles and tendons, relaxing tension, flowing down into the disc below 4, filling that disc and helping to rebuild that disc. Wrapping around the disc, flowing down into the tissue, the bone cells of lumbar 5. Filling every cell, rebuilding the bone tissue, wrapping around it and flowing out to each side, soothing irritation, relaxing muscles and tendons. And now down to the disc below 5, filling the disc and wrapping around the disc, and flowing down into the sacrum, filling the sacrum, every cell, wrapping around the sacrum and flowing out to each side beyond the iliosacrum joints into the ilium, the hip joints, flowing into the bone tissue and the marrow, healing and rejuvenating, and flowing on down to the coccyx and filling every cell of the bone tissue, wrapping around and all the way down to the tip of the tailbone. Now send a warm, sincere smile of thanks to your entire spine for the work it does in keeping your body erect but flexible. Feel the smiling energy penetrate down the whole spine, wrap around the spine. Flowing through all the discs and all the vertebrae, spreading out to all the muscles and tendons of your upper back, middle back, and lower back. And imagine your spine smiling back at you, feeling good, feeling relaxed, feeling appreciated. And now, very important at the end of the exercise, to collect the smiling energy in the lower dantian. To make sure that we concentrate the smiling energy there, where it can be safely stored and preserved for future use. We don't want to leave the smiling energy lingering anyplace else, where it might cause muscle stiffness or aching. So place your mind in your real lower dantian, in the center of your lower abdomen, on a level about 2 inches below your navel, and hold it there steadily for the next few minutes as we breathe in and out, using return to childhood breathing just as before. Allow the smiling energy to collect in the dantian. Now imagine your whole body feeling good, healthy, feeling appreciated, smiling at you. Put a smile on your face and extend your smiling energy out to the rest of the world. Smiling outward to them, sharing the smiling energy. You're feeling good. You're feeling relaxed. Feeling rejuvenated. Feeling healthy. So, that concludes our inner smile.